So I want to do a video about the government debt and government cuts, because recently I did an interview on the radio where they said that we can't afford TfL, we have to close the Bakerloo line. We can't afford, obviously, the train to Leeds, that's been cancelled, and we can't afford the cost of the NHS, and we can't afford the cost of social care. And the reason given for this is because the government debt has increased. Now, I would encourage anyone who hasn't watched it to watch the first video on this channel, which is about the finances of COVID-19. Because the government debt increased massively during COVID-19, but the government printed that money and it was given out and ended up sitting in the bank accounts of wealthy individuals. So whilst the government debt has increased by £450 billion, billionaire wealth has increased by 106 billion, which is a quarter of the amount, and the rest is being held by wealthy individuals. So I want people to remember that that government debt is not to nobody. It is to the wealthy individuals of this country, and there has been an equivalent increase in the wealth of wealthy individuals. Now, if you watch that video, the finances of COVID-19, you will see a year and a half ago, I predicted that there'd be a massive increase in billionaire and wealthy individual wealth that would push up house prices, and it would push up inflation, and it would push up the government debt. It's exactly what has happened. And what I said at the time was that may be used to justify cutting services for ordinary people and raising taxes on ordinary people, which is again exactly what has happened. Taxes on ordinary people have been raised. So what I want you to do is to connect the government debt to the increased wealth of wealthy individuals. We talk about this in the What is Wealth video, that the debt of the government is also the wealth of wealthy individuals. So what we have had here is COVID has essentially been used to increase government debt, but also make the rich enormously richer. It has been the biggest ever in all of history, single year increase in billionaire and super rich wealth. And what this means is, all of these things we're told we can't afford is only because the government has transferred an enormous amount of wealth to the richest in our society. If we tax that wealth back, we can afford all the things that we as a society need. If we don't tax it back, then number one, we can't afford those things, and number two, ordinary people like you will have to pay more taxes from your salaries. And what we see now is the Chancellor, who is a billionaire, cutting taxes on billionaires, raising tax on ordinary people, making billionaire wealth increase by more than it's ever increased in the past, and at the same time raising your taxes. So the main thing to understand here, the debt of the government has only increased by as much as the wealth of the super rich has increased. We can get that back if we choose to tax the richest, and if we don't, then we can't, and it will have to be taxes on the rest of us and cuts to our services. Happy with that? But poorer families will be forced to lose almost all of their assets, including their home. We have a tax system which is very efficient at taxing ordinary working people, but very inefficient at taxing the super rich.